Hi and welcome to Indigo Starfire. My name is Bevin, and in this video I'm going to be doing a no-contact love reading. There are 3 groups to choose from. Group 1 is the lemon calcite. Group 2 is the carnelian. And group 3 is the larvakite. So if you want to take a moment to center, focus on your breathing, and feel whichever group, maybe multiple groups, or perhaps all of the groups that you're most drawn to. I'll give you a minute to make your selection, and then we'll get right into it. And there are timestamps in the description box of the video for each group if you'd like to jump ahead. And up next is a close-up photo of the crystals to help you better make your selection. Hi, Group 1. Chose the lemon calcite. So I'm going to start by taking a look at what are the thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind that you're watching this video for, that you're in a no contact situation with. Okay, so we have the Page of Wands, the Hermit, Ace of Cups, Nike, Triumph, Mastery, Pride, and Sith, Free Spirit, Fertility, Leap of Faith. So for a lot of you, the person on your mind may be considering reaching out with communication. You may have been in a long-term no contact situation with one another, with the Hermit energy here, or this can be something where they have been thinking about for quite a while, kind of trying to turn the page between the two of you. A resistance, a blockage, denial of their feelings perhaps in the past have given way to some sense of momentum, a desire to try again, almost like right person, wrong time energy. And it may be that time has actually benefited this situation. This can be somebody who has been, with the Page of Wands, very proactive, taking the initiative in their own life to start to level up, grow up in some areas, free themselves from things that had interfered with the connection, or just overall kind of the quality of the life that they have been living. And it feels like kind of the sense of positive changes for them, some sort of liberation for themselves, maybe even limiting beliefs or a particular stance that they had taken in the past or up to this point about the connection. These are the energies of sort of flexibility, more options versus just set in stone kind of energy here. If you have been focusing a lot on trying to heal, come to peace, come to terms with the situation, move forward in other ways, this definitely can be something which has rippled over to this person and is motivating them to almost kind of in a way sort of recognize what they have now that it's at a distance from them, or is evolving beyond them in some way, or you're just shifting how you might have been holding expectations, working through some feelings, or just coming to a place of peace with the circumstance, especially if it's a long-term no contact situation. Any kind of efforts toward closure, or maybe opening yourself up to love with another person if you've entered into another relationship, or even just have your sights set on love again. It feels like the person on your mind in some way has picked up on this emotionally in the heart space. And it may be something where if they have been in a process of kind of undergoing personal transformation in their own right in various areas of their life, they may be at a place of healing where they're actually able to feel into this connection in a way that wasn't possible, or they weren't allowing themselves to before. And it feels like for a lot of you who have even just sort of shifted your perspective to the idea of this chapter is closed with this person, or the situation is done, or they're never coming back around, and you've set your sights elsewhere, this has actually worked, it feels like, to your benefit in this situation, because now it's almost like this person is sort of sensing competition on the horizon, sensing that your attention is not on them in the same way that it once was. And so it feels like something where they are contemplating kind of coming out of hiding, coming out of the shadows, knocking on that door to see if this was right person, wrong time energy before. Now that circumstances have changed, do we still have a chance in this circumstance between the two of us? So let's take a look at one of the major blocks that they're working on right now. This can be in their life in general or just in conjunction with the situation with you, the connection, kind of where things are at right now or what's happened in the past. Okay, we have yin yang. So it can indicate still a little bit of resistance about fully immersing themselves in the transformative properties and possibilities of this connection. Something that can tie into almost like a fear of losing themselves, dissolving some portion of their identity into a connection with another person. This can indicate enmeshment or codependency issues that this person has been working on, or might even be sort of skirting around, kind of getting to the heart of the matter about things where it almost feels like for a lot of people this might be somebody who craves intimacy but then runs when things start to go really well in connections with people. So kind of calling things into their reality and then pushing them away, like the self-fulfilling prophecy of loneliness begetting loneliness. And so that feels to be something that the motivation to move towards you, this is a major kind of block that they need to work on within themselves, kind of maintaining their own autonomy outside of how their emotions are impacted for better or worse through the connection with you, through the history the two of you share, aspirations they have toward the future, or even just kind of larger elements within their romantic history or even upbringing that have caused almost the sense of, it feels like somebody who maybe used to having to perform for love or contort themselves in a particular manner to sort of meet their partner's expectations. And that has gotten them by up to this point in time. And it feels like in a certain way, they almost want to break free from that pattern, but are still in a sense kind of stuck in it. They may be in the midst of kind of breaking free with the idea of some progress having been made in a new direction, but still kind of being a work in progress energy. That can tie into kind of what came through with the Hermit here about sort of long-term, almost like a stuck energy, that they may be trying to hold themselves back from reaching out at this point in time. They could be trying to wrap up a cycle, work through something, have some kind of breakthrough in their own right, and there could be a sense of almost like time slipping away, time running out, the progress that they've made in terms of whatever it is that they're working on being frustrating in terms of there's still so much more to do, and yet they're motivated to create forward momentum here, and so kind of torn in different directions, it feels like, as far as, am I healed enough? Am I self-aware enough? Have I worked through some of these aspects that were problematic between us in the past to where this time around we might have a chance at a different outcome in the circumstance? This feels like something where this is almost the energy of somebody who, rather than kind of risking fumbling a second chance, maybe they're already on thin ice with you, or they feel there's kind of just like one shot to get this right with you. It almost feels that it's something where they're getting a little bit lost in the details of whatever it is they've been working on or doing in their own life, kind of almost a perfectionism that may tie into that element of like a codependency. It's got to be just right before I present myself. I need to feel like the absolute best version of me before I'm able to exchange that with another person. So it's a little bit of kind of caught up in the minutia of all of that motivation to move forward, but then almost like a self-critique that they're not really necessarily fully liking what they see when they look in the mirror, but it feels like it is nevertheless still a motivation to continue to press forward with whatever it is that they've been endeavoring, with their sights then set on you and kind of this hope of rejuvenation in the situation. So let's take a look at the potential actions towards you, and then I'll get into some message cards. Okay, we have the Empress, King of Swords, Four of Cups, and Frigga, readiness, bounty, plenty. So this is definitely the energies of somebody who is intent on taking action, trying to see if the seeds of potential between the two of you are still viable, to give credit where credit is owed, or appreciate you in a way that they had not been able to do completely in the past. There may be a desire to not only sort of repair the situation and make amends, but build toward a different kind of future than the two of you had envisioned in the past. For some, this involves kind of like dreams and goals of marriage, having a family, starting something together, kind of building a different sort of relationship than the two of you have had with one another in the past, or that they have had in general, that can reflect, again, work that they've been doing on themselves. Kind of what they are seeking in their life is different than what they'd been seeking before. And there's a sense here with the King of Swords of, again, preparedness, a readiness to take action. But with this Four of Cups, that is, again, reflective of something that they're working on within themselves, peeling back the layers to kind of understand their inner workings. Why are they motivated to take certain chances or let certain things pass them by? What can they do to sort of clean up their side of the street, emotionally speaking, so that what they bring forth carries with it the energies of progress, rather than just sort of looping back into a situation of stagnation? The idea here with Frigga and readiness, bounty, plenty, kind of waiting for that ripe opportunity. It feels like something that at this point in time, this kind of fiery energy along with the Page of Wands, it's almost sort of like the pressure is on, the heat is on in this situation. It's just a matter of time before they kind of reach this place of completion with whatever it is that they're doing and present themselves, come out of hiding, or get to the point where they recognize that kind of the time is now, and this may be sort of a hurdle for them to overcome. The idea of being both a work in progress and capable of sort of entering into a love connection, renewing or repairing a love connection just as they are. And then that can perhaps even strengthen the bond that the two of you build going forward as you continue to heal, grow, and expand and repair the connection, if this is somebody that you would consider taking back into your life after whatever's happened between the two of you in the past. So it looks like potential actions is definitely the continued sort of growth and readiness, kind of the application of strategy of a bigger plan that they have laid in place, that all sort of centers around something within themselves, kind of reaching a place of completion in order to bring forth both the energies of renewal, but then it feels like almost a sense where you can rely on promises that they make, that they have changed, because something that is kind of holding them back at this point in time, once that reaches a place of completion, it feels like it will be quite obvious that they have made changes. This is not empty promises of, I will work on the following things. It's almost like, I have this much time under my belt with whatever it is that I've been dealing with or trying to kind of incorporate into my life, and sort of the action, the steps that they've taken being proof of that change. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self right now. Okay, and they say, I want to make you happy. I miss your smiles. So they are hoping that you will receive them positively when they return, which it feels like is kind of reinforcing that energy of trying to sort of perfect whatever it is that they've been working on in terms of personal patterns, kind of moving beyond some things emotionally, or even aspects and issues that drove you apart in the past. They have maybe taken an ultimatum that you've given them very seriously, or have been in a period, it feels like for a while, of they've moved out of a state of resistance, pointing fingers, laying blame on other people, and have started to take personal responsibility, which it feels like has led to growth to the point where now they're able to admit that they were wrong, where in the past they may have been very kind of stubborn or laying blame upon you. It's a sense of kind of considering more than just their needs, wants, and desires, but are that this person is in a place of almost being able to genuinely reflect on how their actions in the past made you feel, as well as what would be required upon their return in order to sort of settle things between the two of you, sort of clear the slate so you can build fresh in a new direction. They also say, I should have fought for you. So they may have walked away from this connection too quickly and have regretted that. This could be something where pretty immediately after the two of you parted ways, they realized the error of whatever their methodology was, whatever triggered them or spooked them or caused them to kind of disconnect or maybe self-sabotage in this situation. But it feels like a recognition in some way that whatever the contributing factor was on their end to how things fell apart between the two of you, that needed to be repaired or healed in some way in order to avoid kind of a replication of patterns. So this is definitely somebody who has learned from what has happened in a certain way, and is not just sort of sitting there crying over spilled milk, but it feels like has been very proactive, at least recently, or kind of in the context of these energies, to start to make some positive changes for themselves, and has a desire, it feels like, to almost bring forth demonstrations of change to you as well. They also say, you're worth more to me than I let on. So this is definitely a situation where it is not out of sight, out of mind. This person still has feelings for you, hidden feelings they may not have revealed in the past. It's a sense of if they had just seemed to let you go from their life, maybe they ghosted or blocked or just kind of abruptly cut off communication in the situation, and you had wondered, are they bothered by this? Are they affected by this? Do they even think about me? It feels that this is somebody who is very good at kind of stuffing their emotions, hiding their emotions, kind of chameleoning to whatever the circumstance is that they are in, which can tie into that idea of like codependency, enmeshment within connections and within relationships. So there's a sense of almost kind of like feeling themselves falling for you or falling into an element within this connection in the past where they almost were losing parts of themselves that maybe didn't serve kind of the bigger energies that were trying to develop between the two of you. And instead of trusting in that process, they've run from that, and nevertheless those feelings which had started to develop at the point when things fell apart, those still exist. Those have not found a proper outlet. Those still are that motivating factor within that it feels like is encouraging this person to wrap up whatever it is that they are working on and make the effort, make that attempt to see, can we start again? Can we repair this situation? They also say, every time my phone rings, I hope it's you. So this can be kind of a confirmation as well of somebody who may be actively in the process of drafting text messages, emails, kind of the phone in hand, ready to call, ready to reach out, only to sort of back off of that urge kind of right at the last minute. So again, you might be hearing from them in the not too distant future with these demonstrations of sort of like, this is what I have realized in our time apart, and this is what I have done to sort of work on my end of things so that I'm bringing forth new energy into the situation if you're willing to take me back and willing to try again. They also say, I underestimated how important you are in my life. So again, they hold a lot of value on the experiences you've had with one another in the past. They have learned some valuable lessons through this connection, through, it feels like, work that they have been doing within themselves to uncover some of the layers of their own wounding. And they are definitely, it feels like, based on these energies, at a place of being very motivated to present themselves, to kind of bring forth this changed version of them, to see, can this situation between the two of us work this time around? So I'm going to get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got B, L, P, B, U, U, X, H, N, E, F, C, and P. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 2. Chose the Carnelian. So I'm going to start by taking a look at what are the thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind that you are watching this video for in regards to you and the no contact situation that you find yourselves in. We have the Six of Cups, Ace of Swords, Ten of Cups, Danu, spiritual learning, ascension, and Freya, warrior, your power, determination. So there's a sense here of some of you may have reclaimed your independence from this situation. With Freya energy here, you have stepped into your divine feminine essence. Maybe you are focusing on healing some emotional things, healing and releasing this connection, or healing from this connection, or have in some way kind of aligned your focus and attention toward greater purpose, what you're kind of doing overall with your life, or other factors in your life that are more within your ability to sort of control, or may have needed your kind of time and attention to manage these things. In some way, you've shifted the attention and the focus off of this person and this connection in some capacity. You've taken your power back, you've focused on yourself, and it feels like this has created almost like a boomerang effect where your up-leveling has forced them to kind of almost reflect on some things with this ascension energy, this Danu energy, that might not have been very easy to deal with, in terms of almost like a willful denial that you are the person that they have been looking for. This feels like somebody who has been calling in love or trying to call in love for quite some time. May have been presented with the blessing of this connection, your arrival in their life, progression, or signs even encouraging them to progress the connection forward in some manner, that at a certain point in time, with whatever happened in everybody's particular circumstance, it's going to be different, but it almost feels like they lost sight of or lost faith in an essence that from quite early on might have really been intriguing and deeply triggering a sense of you were that blessing that they've been trying to call in. You are that gift of love they have been wanting to manifest. You are their person. You are compatible with them on a deep emotional level that they had not experienced before. Factors that had drawn them deeper and deeper into involvement with you, and then again at a certain point had sort of led to them moving in an opposite direction, maybe forced kind of separation between the two of you, like forced from on high, your higher selves knowing that sort of like, okay, if this connection is going to continue, these two people need to do some healing, do some up-leveling, tend to some things within themselves and their own vibration in order to really kind of be able to bring that wish fulfillment into form in a truly satisfactory way for both individuals. It feels like this person is now starting to kind of grasp the bigger picture of separation, where you may be in a phase of you've already kind of grasped that. You're already sort of using these energies to your benefit in a way that they're now starting to catch up, or their attention is being directed to the fact of there may still be an opportunity to reclaim the situation, reconciliation with the Six of Cups, but it almost feels to be something where they're now very aware with this Ace of Swords energy, or they're starting to kind of get the hint in some sort of way that if they desire reconciliation, they need to kind of start to do that work emotionally, or you're positioned in such a way that you will outgrow them in this situation. They're sensing almost, it feels like, rapid increases in your vibration, or whatever it is you've chosen to focus on. This is actually the path of least resistance for you, as much as it may be sort of a struggle at times, or kind of like stepping out into uncharted territory with whatever it is you've chosen to kind of repurpose the energy that has been devoted to this situation into something else. As much as you might feel that it's kind of just slow and steady progress, in some way, even that slight kind of change in attention has shifted something in terms of how this person is feeling you. Now it's their turn to almost kind of go within and miss you. Now it's their turn to sort of go and see kind of what they had now that it's gone, and to try to make that effort within themselves to put a desire for change into actions of change, to be able to bring forth something. There's a sense here of this person almost like watching you from afar. So this can be energetically speaking, or like watching you on social media, for example. Maybe they've heard things through the grapevine, through community, family, friends, people that you know in common, about changes that have happened within your life, within your reality, and it feels that it's caught their attention. They may be very inspired by things that you are focusing on, or in a sense also are just kind of recognizing you're energetically not the same person you once were. You may be profoundly not the same person you once were in other ways in your life, and it's a sense of they don't want to miss out on that opportunity, or they almost kind of like want what it is that you have, want what it is that you are aiming toward. And at this point, it feels like it's more of just a desire or an envy to kind of be by your side, which is a key element that's like a prelude to them taking action to, create that momentum in their own sense, in their own life. And so at this point in time, it's almost just they're focused, it feels like, on some degree of change, and that is directly kind of equated with you and changes that you are exacting in your life at this time. So let's take a look at one of the major blocks that they are working on or are faced with at this time, either in terms of this connection or just other things going on in their life in general. Okay, so we've got Angel of Strength. So this can definitely indicate kind of a little bit of fear of approaching you, maybe due to a degree of intimidation on their part. You've taken back your power in certain ways. You may be radiating a very empowered, self-aware vibe at this particular point in time that it feels like is making them self-conscious about work they haven't been doing. Almost something that it might not, to tie back into this ascension energy here, it almost might not have been their time to necessarily do the work on an emotional level within themselves, especially if this is like a deep soul connection or like a divine soul connection, twin flame, soulmate, something like that. It almost might be something where during this phase of separation, this person essentially held the space, maintaining kind of whatever distortions or just the status quo, kind of life going on as usual in the aftermath of your parting ways, in order for you energetically to have kind of this free range to bloom in whatever direction you so chose, or that you're healing, or redirection of your energies and attention, or just other things unfolding in your life that was calling you towards. And so it almost might be something that now you've reached a level where you're essentially functioning as an anchor in a sense for this person, or an inspiration for this person, as they are now kind of tasked. Now it's their turn to go through that process of sort of looking around, seeing what needs to be reshaped within themselves and within their reality, and then kind of taking measured action accordingly to create something better for themselves within, something better for themselves in terms of the life they're living. But it's definitely with almost this essence of kind of like, I want to be on the level that you are. I want to glow in the same way that you do. I want to kind of radiate this energy of healing or confidence in the same way that you do. But at this point in time, it almost feels like, do I have the strength to maybe do what it takes to reach that level? If they are in some way aware of your journey, or maybe it's, they left you in pieces and you've had to put those pieces back together in a different sort of way. It feels like whatever they're able to glean or understand, or even just if their imagination's running wild as far as what that process would have looked like for you, there's a fear on their part almost of allowing themselves, it feels like, to fall apart so they can put themselves back together again. Not feeling competent in this regard, because it feels like this, for a lot of people, is somebody who has neglected to do a lot of kind of emotional maintenance on themselves. This can be somebody with like deep running kind of like inner child wounds, fears of commitment, kind of just heartbreak upon heartbreak stacked up and never really dealt with. So it may be kind of a long or arduous process before they are ready to resurface in your life on a level that is compatible with you, or being able to offer something comparable to what you're bringing to the table at this point in time. So there's also this kind of fear of, is it going to be too little too late? Is there a chance to repair this situation? Or is my karma to just kind of watch this person living their best life and I don't have a seat at that table? So let's take a look at their possible actions towards you, and then I'll get into some message cards from their higher self. Okay, we have the Lovers, King of Cups, the Hanged Man, and the Green Man, initiative, fertilization, and action. So the most likely action on their part is something stirring within the heart space, something awakening, something coming online, or almost igniting within them that it feels like is motivation to peel back those layers, emotionally speaking, things that they had not worked on in the past, or that had presented as obstacles and challenges previously in the situation. This can definitely speak with this King of Cups energy. A lot of people may have been very kind of emotionally distant. Like a lot of people you're watching the video for might fit into that category of emotionally distant, or just hadn't, again, done that necessary kind of check-in with self, emotionally speaking. So there may be kind of a log jam, almost like a backlog of things that they're needing to address before they can actually bring forth an essence of change that is embodied as well with almost reaching that potential of prosperity and actualizing it in the material world. So a sense of kind of almost this person getting ready to embark on some phase of their own kind of spiritual journey, which may delay their movement towards you, but it almost feels like the tables have turned in such a way that like a choice has been made, or almost in a sense energetically, if this is like a deep soul connection, they may be kind of recognizing that there is sort of no choice in the matter at this point. Your up leveling has sort of pivoted them into a place of now they're needing to address some things within themselves that they had avoided doing. Hands being kind of tied in the situation, forced to just sort of deal with these things, or even kind of watch your up leveling, forced to watch. They can't take their eyes off of the situation, which it feels like is helping to sort of breed this interest within them to do what they need to do in order to be able to present themselves to you with something that kind of matches the energy of what you now bring to the table or are cultivating within yourself. It feels like this can almost be somebody who's on the precipice of almost like a side quest or something that they're needing to journey on within themselves. It feels like a deep kind of internal process here. If this is someone that's been used to sort of running away from problems, this hangman energy is almost the essence of the universe saying you're going to sit and feel this, you're going to sit and witness this, you're going to sit and allow this process to unfold in order to kind of complete some sort of cycle, to come into a greater state of alignment with like life purpose, or even kind of bigger sort of unfinished symphony elements within this connection with you. It's a sense of almost like things shifting, or an encouragement to shift within their life that it feels like is a gatekeeper to their ability to bring forth the energy of measured change towards you. So there's a sense of this person just kind of continuing to watch from afar, kind of that desire to reach out, to make contact, increasing a sense of whatever they are able to kind of pick up on or learn from you, maybe things that you're focused on, that you are sharing with other people as far as your own kind of healing journey and process. This is definitely the energy of someone who's taking notes about that, to try and find ways to apply that to their own life in some kind of fashion. This is the sense of somebody who is sitting on the sidelines and not happy about that. Nevertheless, there's kind of like a bigger process, it feels like, at play. If reconciliation is a possibility between the two of you in the future, it feels like they need to go through this uncomfortable phase of sort of seeing what they have now that it's gone, looking within themselves and sort of recognizing deficiencies or flaws or voids within that need to be addressed in order to be able to bring forth something that is a healthier and more consistent vibration than they had in the past. So they may continue to kind of hang back and remain at a distance, but it feels like their eyes are on you, the attention is on you, which may be a very positive step forward from someone who could have just been running or ignoring or doing everything they could not to address and sort of face the circumstance between the two of you. So let's see, what do they want you to know from their higher self right now? Okay, and they say you're worth more to me than I let on. So they're starting to get that idea very loud and clear, that they missed out on something good, that they overlooked your value and worth in the past. They underestimated you and kind of the potential that you held within yourself, and are bringing forth in concrete ways to heal and to thrive despite what has happened in this situation, or maybe even in kind of a more broad sense, things that you've been through in your life, that perhaps the circumstance with this person sort of created a snowball effect, motivated you to start making calculated changes for yourself. And it's something to where your ability to kind of transform and rise from the ashes, as this person is able to kind of recognize it at this point in time, it's increased your value and worth. They're seeing you as somebody they should have kept by their side, because you would be with them through thick and thin, versus maybe some more kind of like fair weather people that they're dealing with, or have dealt with in the past, that kind of run at the first sign of trouble. They're starting to see that you are somebody that wouldn't have quit on them. You wouldn't have given up on them, which it feels like is kind of putting the pressure upon them to continue to hold back and not make communication until if and when they have something to sort of present, that can not only sort of make up for whatever has happened in the past, but to instill a sense of confidence within you that they're invested in the long term. And they also say, I need to tell you the truth. So this is that King of Cups energy of feelings that are still held within, maybe that were never properly expressed, or have continued to kind of grow and become more complex with time. So a desire to speak to you, to break the ice in this situation, but also a sense of kind of not having the courage yet to face you. They also say, I hate seeing you with them. So this can either be the idea of you moving on with someone else, or some of you may have moved on with someone else. Or if this person's watching you from afar, they may be, combing your friends list with a fine-tooth comb, trying to sort of see who are these people? Are you talking to anyone? Is there competition? Is it, what do they need to sort of factor in or take into account as part of a strategy or a plan to present themselves to you at some future point? They also say, I'm ready to take my mask off. So this can indicate kind of that epiphany energy, a recognition that some things need to change within themselves that they had avoided doing. They haven't used this time to the best of their ability, that the two of you have been at a distance, and it feels like time may be starting to run out in some kind of way, or you've just made such a major pivot or shift that it has dawned on them, I better start working on these things if I hope to kind of have the chance to step back into this person's life at a future point in time. I need to start to kind of do that repair work within myself, do that healing work within myself, take off the illusion and kind of the toxicity that I've been living under, or that had been problematic in this situation in the past, to kind of move toward a better vibration within self. They also say, I'm sorry I couldn't be what you needed me to be. So again, this is somebody who is starting to turn that corner away from placing blame and starting to take responsibility, which a start is better than nothing, but it feels like for most people that are kind of resonating with the energies here in this group, this is not someone who's going to kind of reach out tomorrow, demonstrating that they've changed, or if you do hear from them, pretty quickly it might be something where it's just more of the same, more of what you're used to, which can be kind of an encouragement on your part to maintain some healthy boundaries, hold your ground, because it feels like even if they come around a little too quickly, and kind of you reject them, or it's just not kind of the right mix at that particular point in time. This feels like somebody who will be motivated to continue to try to work on themselves before sort of resurfacing again. So you may have like an encounter with them somewhat briefly for some people, and then that can be kind of that even bigger piece of motivation for them to start to really take seriously that ascension, that healing work, that kind of shadow work that they may have avoided up to this point in time. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or your person, or can spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got H, O, T, K, U, Q, T, I, J, B, G, A, H, B, S, and Y. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters, including a longer video version of this reading, the no contact love reading. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well. Hi, Group 3. You chose the Larvakite. So I'm going to start by taking a look at what are the thoughts and feelings of the person on your mind that you're in a no contact situation with in regards to you at this time and the no contact situation itself. We have Wheel of Fortune, the Emperor, Ace of Wands, Gaia, completion, the Earth, success, and Caradwin, wisdom and banishment. So there's a sense here of this person circulating around a lot of worst case scenario thinking. It feels like there is a magnetization back towards you, a curiosity, a desire to be in your presence. It can indicate somebody who is still kind of stuck in some toxicity and some cycles themselves. If you've had a history of kind of like a hot and cold runner chaser, this can indicate that they in some way are still embodying that essence in energy in a way that they question almost, can the two of you meet in the middle in some fashion? Is this a star-crossed connection where it's just sort of doomed to failure? Or is there the possibility to kind of rise out of the ashes of whatever's fallen apart between the two of you in order to have a fresh start? But it feels like they are avoiding in some way a key element of kind of taking personal responsibility for what they could bring to the table that would generate those energies of a shift on their end. So there may be almost kind of like toxic patterns and behaviors that they are still clinging to, perhaps even people in their life that had interfered in the connection in the past, that in some way they are still kind of valuing and prioritizing these individuals, their opinion, sort of how they are positioned relatively speaking to this person. And so it's a sense of almost kind of feeling that their hands are tied at this point in terms of their ability to kind of step up and move towards you with a humbleness and bringing forth perhaps necessary apologies, or being open to kind of talking about a wide range of things, which may be a necessary ingredient to repairing the circumstance. It feels that they're very much in opposition to that because there's some resistance or like a clinging within themselves, fear of the unknown, about moving beyond kind of, again, like a stuck or a stagnant cycle, a pattern, something karmic within themselves, that if they release that, it feels like it would not only open the floodgates of a new beginning between the two of you, but may also signal kind of bigger life changes that they may not be prepared to make, are afraid to make, or are kind of just uncertain sort of where the snowball effect of one change, where that would end, where that would lead. There's a sense here of almost like addictions being a factor in this circumstance, and that can be addictions to any variety of things, that it's almost kind of something that may have taken root and sort of has spread into other areas of this person's life, and they're still very much in the grip of this, having no choice but to almost just sort of watch you walk away, but not feeling, or they've walked away from the situation, and a desire and a curiosity to sort of be back in your presence, but understanding on some level you most likely have reached the end of your rope with them. You're not willing to go back around on the same merry-go-round. You require change, you require action in a new direction, and they don't necessarily feel equipped to provide that because it requires profound change, or a releasing or letting go of something which may have been like a crutch or a coping mechanism for quite some time, something that is like a deeply embedded part of their identity or their reality, that at this point in time it almost feels like it's a struggle to see, and this may have been an issue in the past, sort of where you fit into this equation, where this connection can kind of nestle itself within the reality which is their world, despite the distance, despite the fact that they are facing kind of challenges, or holding kind of the idea of reconciliation more in kind of a problematic or an obstacle riddled compartment of themselves. Nevertheless, there is this essence of, I want us to re-spark, maybe even kind of like a higher knowing almost, that can indicate it at a certain point in time. It feels like a tower moment or a series of tower moments may compel this individual to change. That can open the door, at a future point in time toward things being repaired in this situation. But it almost feels like there's a higher awareness on their part that This connection is significant. Your story's not done with one another. You perhaps have been a catalyst, a motivator for change, that at this point in time they are in the resistance phase. Rather than letting go of certain things, they're being dragged along in this process where it feels like they may be reaching the point of the universe almost forcing them to change, taking certain things from them, from their reality, in order to cause them to go within and sort of do some necessary healing work in order to emerge as a better version of themselves. So at this point in time, it almost feels like something with this Gaia energy. They may be watching you from afar, kind of admiring you, secret admirer energy, but very much with the Emperor kind of just like sitting in place, fixed in place, sort of very much almost not sort of, it almost feels like kind of like a punishment sort of energy. They may really regret how they've handled you in this situation in the past, not seeing your value, not seeing your worth, not cherishing you, and they almost might feel that they don't deserve another opportunity with you, or they look around at their reality, something they may have chosen over you in the connection, something they may have turned to in order to sort of avoid feelings related to the connection dissolving or other things in their life. And it almost feels that when they look around at the reality of the nature of their existence, they don't really see where something that almost is kind of like a pure vibration. It's a passionate vibration, but with creative components, encouragement to kind of reach for something more, to grow, to evolve, to expand, which may be quite contrary to things they involve themselves in that are just conducive to stagnation. And so it's a sense of almost like crossroads energy. A decision needs to be made in a big sort of way in order to open up future potentials in this situation. But right now it's almost just all they can do is watch from afar, and it feels like it compounds a sense of unworthiness. They're not worthy for another chance with you, or if they were to take steps to try to bring you back into their world and into their reality, it's almost a sense of what you bring to the table would in some way be tarnished by kind of contributing factors or elements that their reality would necessarily at this point in time sort of infuse or influence into a connection or a resurgence of the connection between you. So let's take a look at the major kind of block, obstacle, challenge, fear that they are dealing with right now in conjunction to either this connection or other things going on in their life at this time. Okay, so we've got door to spirit. So this speaks to somebody who may almost be kind of losing their faith in their ability to turn their circumstances around, their situations around. They may be in some long-standing patterns. For some people, there may be third-party situations involved here, which can definitely indicate kind of the set in stone element. It's easier to just stay in my circumstance rather than go through the process of maybe admitting I'm unhappy or disentangling myself from that, creating sovereignty in order to be able to present myself in the ability to kind of give all of me to the situation. It's a sense of almost regretting choices that they've made in their past or in the past as related to you, but not really sort of seeing a way forth, almost that it's sort of like their karma to just remain in this essence of there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it requires action on their part in order to reach that. And it feels like something that's almost so distanced from them, kind of the love you had to offer, the connection itself, the experiences with you. It feels like it is so different from everything they've known of love before, or kind of the nature of how love manifests for them in other ways and in other connections in their life currently or even historically, that it's a sense of this situation or you represent such an anomaly that there's almost like a fear of the otherness, a fear of the unknown, which compels them, it feels like, to seek out or cling to toxicity, lower vibrational things or connections or even beliefs within themselves, because it's almost kind of a lack of a sense of worthiness. They don't feel good enough for the love that you've had to offer, and it feels like that's been a problem in the past. It's something that they're still struggling with. Also, kind of with this dove here on the door to spirit, there may be some struggle on their part as far as forgiving themselves for their actions in the past in this situation, maybe fueled or motivated by addictions, deceptions, somebody with kind of a lot of different backstories going on, a lot of different masks that they're wearing, a lot of different things and identities that they're trying to kind of juggle. And it feels like there's a sense of almost if they make a shift in one area of their life, a house of cards completely falls down. And it might be something that it's almost the risk is more extreme than the possibility of kind of peaceful resolution of things, or even the uncertainty about if after everything that has happened or how they've treated you, things that you may have found out about them after the fact, especially if there was like a third party situation, or they returned to an ex, or chose someone over you, or have moved into another connection rather than trying to repair the situation with you. There's a sense of almost like, how can we create peace between the two of us after everything that has fallen apart and continues to fall apart? The risk of kind of reaching out to extend that olive branch of peace, it feels like, also is in some way kind of aligned with certain things that need to be given up or sacrificed, that in some way it either directly equates with other areas of their life, or they're almost kind of just wrapped up in their head, very fearful of sort of the prospect of like, okay, well, if I let go of this one thing, or I evolve beyond something, or even release, or step beyond a very rigid mindset, where does that end? Where does that process of kind of discerning and calling things into question, and releasing the old, and kind of waiting for the new to arrive, where does that stop? And so it feels like they're almost kind of working themselves up into a panic at this particular point in time, due to kind of some deeper seated issues, maybe like a lack mentality in general, not feeling worthy and deserving of the love that you had to offer, the high vibration of the connection. And it feels like they're very much still stuck in that essence, kind of watching the idea of you sort of pass by. So let's take a look and see what the potential actions are towards you, and then I will get some message cards from their higher self. Empress, the Tower, Three of Swords, and Isa, stillness, pause, and delicacy. Yeah, so it feels like this person may be getting ready to be sat down by the universe with Tower and the Isa energy. It feels like changes to their lifestyle, changes to belief systems or deeply ingrained patterns within that affect areas of themselves outside and beyond sort of the scope of this connection. They are at a place in their own kind of personal journey right now that there are some necessary lessons that must be kind of learned, experiences that they have the opportunity to crystallize into wisdom, that in some way it almost feels like no movement towards you is in fact almost the idea of like rejection is divine protection with the current version or manifestation of this individual. There's potential for like a longer term reunion sort of energy between the two of you, but it feels that it exists on the other side of almost like a death and rebirth process that they need to go through, that they've been resisting. They may have been almost kind of like negotiating with spirit. If you give me one more chance, I'll change my ways, and kind of not honoring that agreement. Something where they may have had a lot of kind of close calls, they've left a lot of heartbreak in their wake, or patterns or behaviors within themselves has created a lot of destructive energy, that it's almost a sense of the scales need to be balanced for them before they are really of much use to bring forth like a higher vibration of love and partnership, both to themselves in terms of the internal relationship with themselves, and in terms of outside people that they are trying to have romance with, or like their interpersonal relationships in general that need to improve. the situation with you. This almost feels like somebody who is getting ready to kind of go through maybe like an existential crisis, midlife crisis, dark night of the soul, things of that nature. And it's all kind of preparation to reach a place where it feels like they would be able to genuinely provide you some sort of amends, or some kind of an inclination of, I'm ready to start again. I want to try this one more time, or for the 10th time, or whatever that looks like. In your situation, if you'd be willing to take them back at whatever point they'd reemerge from almost kind of like a frozen in time energy right here with Isa of they are needing to go within and create balance before this situation is allowed to progress forward. And it feels like that may also kind of represent blocks in other areas of their life. They need to do some cleanup work within themselves. They need to kind of set the record straight, make amends, maybe work on some self-forgiveness work, almost like a list of people that they need to balance the scales with, energetically speaking, that can all kind of lead up to being allowed to step back into your presence. So this doesn't feel to be anything like on an egoic level. You may be hearing that essence of like, okay, no movement forward, at least for, the time being. And one would kind of take that as the letdown. The ego is hurt by that kind of that element of disappointment. But from the higher self level, from the higher potential of this situation, if this is somebody where you would entertain in the future, having them back in your life again, it almost feels like time apart, there's an opportunity that's being created for some pretty major changes for this individual in a positive way, that it almost might be worth the wait, or there's like a better version of them that is still in the process of gestating, or is going to be in the process of gestating, that it's almost like from the higher self level, their lack of effort at this point in time is actually in accordance with your highest good. And if they present themselves kind of in more of a longer term energy, off what would it feels to be such a profound transformation kind of journey. This isn't just I did a little bit of inner child healing within. This almost feels to be big major life changes, that it would almost represent kind of them resurfacing as an entirely new person. So it would be, rather than a reconciliation, it's almost like you'd be meeting this individual again, because this is kind of the level of the energy. They're getting ready to go through a major shift. They're being pushed into that element of going through a major shift within themselves that may be long overdue, most likely aligns with kind of a bigger purpose and plan for their life outside of the context of this relationship. And so it's almost it benefits the potential of the long-term situation to almost kind of allow or take that bird's eye perspective of sort of what's happening right now, what this person is needing to go through in order to kind of rise beyond their own personal darkness and toxicity, to show up in a different way for themselves, and as a ripple kind of being able to show up in a different way for you and for other people further down the road. So let's see what they want you to know from their higher self right now. Okay, and they say you tame my demons. So there's that confirmation of the tower moment. This person is in the process of, or has just started to, or is getting ready to face some uncomfortable things within themselves that need to be dealt with, that need to be kind of rewritten or broken free from different kind of patterns that it feels like have negatively impacted this connection. It's negatively impacted their relationship with themselves, with other people in their world, in their reality. It may have limited opportunities for abundance for themselves in a variety of ways. That is kind of the main theme at this point in their life. So it's almost like you being at a distance from them is a good thing, or it saves or protects you in some way from experiencing too much of the fallout of what may be kind of this process of tower moments, or a big tower moment that is not voluntary. It's not by choice. It's almost like the universe stepping in and motivating this person to change. And they also say, I need to tell you the truth. So there is an understanding that amends need to be made. Words that were said perhaps in anger or very callously in the past, that there may have been some untruth to that, a decision to perhaps choose another person over you. There's regret in that sense. It's something where whatever their methodology was in kind of the aftermath of the circumstances falling apart between the two of you, or whatever on their end contributed to things falling apart, there's a desire to rectify that in some way, but that desire kind of, it exists beyond and beneath kind of a layer within themselves of avoidance and toxic patterns that they almost need to kind of get very honest with themselves about how they've been living their life and make changes towards something better before they're able to bring forth that rigorous honesty towards you about sort of where they've fallen short in the situation in the past, and what they're able to do to kind of course correct moving forward. They also say, I've been watching your social media and admiring your pictures. So watching from afar, again, very kind of like curious, drawn, magnetized towards you. If you don't have social media, or you have this person blocked, or they have you blocked, and it doesn't seem likely that they'd have fake accounts, fake pages to be watching you from, this can speak about kind of contemplation, thinking back on the memories between the two of you, kind of wondering what life would have been like if they had chosen to fight for this connection, or had chosen you instead of another person, or just whatever that kind of dynamic looked like, whatever those reasons for things falling apart looked like. There's a desire to turn back the hands of time, but at the same point, kind of looking around at the reality of their circumstances, internal and external, and it's almost a sense of them sort of desiring you, but feeling you're better off or safer at a distance from them, because whatever they're involved with right now, there's an essence of, I don't want to pollute you with kind of my energy. I don't want to bring down your vibration based on kind of the low vibration that is the nature of my reality. They also say, I was selfish and stuck in my ego. So again, that reflection of patterns that they may be still trying to break through, trying to understand, resisting in a major sort of way. But again, that tower moment is the universe really coming in and sort of forcing change, a forcible shakeup of circumstances, so that perhaps on the other side, after a humbling or a need to pick back the pieces of their life up in some sort of fashion and build something different, build upon a more solid foundation for themselves in a kind of a large reaching sort of way, there's a sense of that curiosity or that draw toward breaking down an aspect of themselves that had been very sort of resistant to what you had to offer in the past, or resistant to love in general on some level, that there's a softening that needs to happen before they are able to bring forth the beautiful vibrations of what it is that you are worthy of and deserving of, before they can match that frequency of what you brought to the table in the past. And there's a recognition on their part that they've held back from you. You deserve more than they've given in the past, and then they're capable of giving now even. And they also say, I'm on my way to you. So that curiosity, it feels like, is going to represent almost like a light in the darkness through this process of like a tower moment, dark night of the soul energy. So as kind of a clue or an indicator, you may start to feel this person pulling on your energy in kind of the aftermath of this reading, or it almost feels like over the course of the next several months to a year even, going through this process of kind of dismantling the ego, dismantling a lot of these coping mechanisms or behaviors, and something where it's almost like the experience with you represented a higher vibration than what they chose as sort of their lived reality. And as that 3D lived reality is starting to fall apart, they're compelled to reach for something more, which is the essence of you, which is the experience of you. Maybe you very directly are or will become a motivating factor, or an even greater motivating factor for change. And so something where that can kind of loop back into the essence of, are they going to reach out? physically, verbally, communicating. Most likely it feels like they're being rerouted into some other thing that they're needing to work on. So they may not have a lot of time to reach out. There may be a lot of things kind of crumbling or falling apart in their life to where they're not feeling their best, not really able to bring forth anything that's very compelling or enticing for you. Nevertheless, energetically, there may be sort of a pulling or a reaching out, an essence of even kind of maybe getting sort of telepathy or experiences with this person, or signs that indicate this desire for an apology, regret. I'm sorry what happened. I'm seeing the error of my ways, where it's almost kind of a play-by-play for you perhaps of what they are going through or what they may be going through. To kind of give you a clue or indicator as far as is progress happening. Is this somebody I would entertain back in my life again? Are we aligning on the same frequency, or are our paths kind of diverging from one another, and needing to kind of wrap the situation up and chalk it up as a lesson rather than a blessing. But it does feel like something where there is a motivation to bring forth something more to you in this situation, but presently, kind of as they look around, there's a struggle to sort of see what of value and worth they could truly contribute at this point. So let's get some initials. This can be a first, middle, or last name of you or this person, or could spell something out, just whatever resonates for you. Got S, U, F, E, G, C, R, F, O, S, O, I, M, P, E, V, W, X, T, H, and Y. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, or share. If you'd like a personal reading, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link to that in the description box of the video. I offer a variety of pre-recorded video readings, written readings, and channeled letters, including a longer video version of this reading. Turnaround time on everything is 5 to 7 days from the time of purchase. I also sell handmade jewelry, dream catchers, and sun catchers if you're interested in checking any of those out as well. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.